At this time, please welcome our first class speaker, Miss Erin Gretzinger, to the podium.
It starts with your heartbeat. When showtime finally arrives and the stage manager calls places, the music fades into the background and the whispers of the audience wither. Soon, all you can feel is your heartbeat. With palms sweating, gut churning, knees shaking, and bladder bursting, the house lights go down and the red curtain comes up. Time slows, and it is your moment to step on stage into that spotlight. Well, here we are, in our final moments before we take our place on this stage. And I don't know about all of you, but I'm terrified. Although maybe not as terrified as when I first started high school, or as terrified as I am giving this speech. But this is no time for stage fright. And I guess that what I'm trying to say is that, in a way, high school is a lot like theater. Can you remember what it was like 4 years ago? Didn't that first day of freshman year feel like one long audition? It was a pretty classic scene. We walked endlessly around the circle, got lost in colored staircases, received overly excited looks from upperclassmen in neon shirts, and cried when our locker wouldn't open. Well, maybe that last one was just me, but regardless of stumbles, we made the cast, and then commenced 4 years of a show we will never forget. On the stage that was Appleton East, we worked with each other and reached within ourselves, developing our character through different roles. We played shy freshmen, lost in the jungle of scary upperclassmen. We performed as snarky sophomores, daring to steal parking spots from seniors and wearing our resulting parking tickets with pride. We were then cast into the role of stressed juniors, cramming for our hardest classes in the ACT while trying to beef up our college apps. This year, we shined as seniors. In each of these roles, we built our characters through challenges we never predicted. Whether it was adjusting to the locking of the John Street doors or trying to comprehend new grading for learning standards. More seriously, we overcame academic strife, personal struggles, and great losses. So maybe we flubbed a few lines or missed an entrance along the way. And when a few performances were canceled, we just added 10 minutes to the beginning and end of each show, and it all turned out totally fine. Regardless, the show went on, and our characters just grew stronger. We also had moments of glory, company bows, and cheers from the crowd, like when Matt Moore had placed top 20 in the nation at the debate tournament of champions. Or when Sam Bruton helped break the school record in the 4x200 meter relay. And girls soccer won its first ever conference title. We've made some pretty miraculous achievements, but more than all of these, we won the Powder Puff game. Yeah. This really has been a great show. Although we didn't always get the part we wanted or thought we deserved. We didn't always get to be in the spotlight. There have been times for all of us where we felt like the background dancers in the grand scheme of life and East. But remember this, there are no small parts. On this stage and any other, there's always going to be someone in the audience looking through all the glitz and glimmer of showbiz directly at you, applauding and cheering, watching you grow. We all matter here. So thank your fellow actors and actresses who've been learning alongside you. Thank your directors whose stage was the classroom. It was them who pushed us to be better, no matter how painful it may have been at times. From Mr. Miller's aw yas, to Mrs. Marks's circle time, to Mr. Pritzel's Reader's Digest jokes, to Miss Loritz's cookies talk. Their lessons, both serious and silly, will stick with us forever. They have guided us into the roles we are in today and prepared us for the grander roles we will pursue tomorrow. Then, of course, there are the people behind the scenes. Whether or not we could always see them, they were there. And they are here again today, supporting us through our final bow. Our friends and family are the ones who should really be in the spotlight today, because without them, there wouldn't be a show at all. So, here we are again, with palms sweating, gut churning, knees shaking, bladder bursting, perhaps a little extra sweaty this time. And now, our final show at East is about to come to a close. I'm sure that each one of us, in some way, is terrified. It is scary to step off this stage onto a bigger set with new characters and challenges. It is scary to leave behind the lines we've memorized and the hallways and people we've come to know and love. But everything we have ever done in our lives, all the rehearsing, all the practicing, has been leading up to this moment. And we are ready. Whatever plot twists arise in our future, it is here at East where we have developed the character to face them. And I hope we all get to dance through the stages of life, with a smile on our faces and a song in our hearts. So, class of 2019, places. It is your moment. Step on this stage and take a bow. After all, the show must go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Please welcome our next class speaker, Mr. Peter Sieck, to the podium.
Good evening. Even now, standing here before all of you, it's difficult to fully realize that we've done it. After 4 years of coming here, often before the sun is even up, we're graduating. We've completed this phase of our education, both for academics and for life. Now, after 4 years here, each of us has made a connection of some sort to this school, or I hope at least. There's so many different interests one can pursue here, and so many ways one can tailor their high school experience. When I walk out tonight, I leave behind some of the best experiences of my life. I leave behind the auditorium, where I've had so many amazing concerts. I leave the classrooms in which I've learned so much. And I leave the commons in which I've shared so many meals with so many friends. I leave behind a life I created for myself, and I go out into a great unknown, far away from here. See, our time here is kind of like a roller coaster. And yes, I know it's cliche, but bear with me. We stood in line for a while, watching those in front of us get on the ride and disembark later as changed people. Having been patient, we finally get to the ride, which begins the turmoil. We have our ups and downs, our twists and turns, our thrills and our moments of calm, but finally, the ride is approaching an end. So once the ride's over, we get off, maybe shaking a bit, still on an adrenaline rush. We finally did it. After waiting in line for what felt like eternity, after getting through loops and twists and whatnot, we're here. You may be a bit dizzy or thirsty, so get some water, some funnel cake maybe, and relax for a bit. You've earned it. With that taken care of, however, you now have the entire amusement park ahead of you. Yes, you'll have to wait in line, and yes, you might be sick from time to time, but the alternative is just going home, and you drove all this way, so take a break if you need, but it's time to go on to the next ride. This fall, I'll be attending the University of Pittsburgh, which is nearly 700 miles away. I don't know a single person that lives there, and I don't have anybody I know going there with me. So I will be completely alone, far from my friends, my family, and everything I've come to know and love in the Fox Cities. Yet in this solitude, I do not feel loneliness. Rather, I feel solidarity with all of you. Now, I don't presume to know the intricate details of what's brought any of you here. I don't know where everybody will be going as they leave tonight, but I do know that we will all stand together as young adults taking their steps out into the wider world to find a purpose and to find a life to etch out. I still remember my first day here. I was faced with a sea of strangers and countless opportunities to branch out. And so I made a decision before school even began that year to join theater, to just throw myself in and fully commit. I have made many similar decisions over the past 4 years, and even for those interests that have fallen by the wayside, never have I once regretted it. So when you find yourself alone and unfamiliar, as many of us will, throw yourself out into the world around you. Find an interest and commit to it for its full duration, and you may be surprised at just how many connections you'll make along the way. Now, I will admit, it can be scary. Some of you may have no plan for your departure, and that's okay. We don't need to have all the answers now. It is simply up to us to find them. So to those of you who don't know yet, I wish you luck, and I believe wholeheartedly that you'll find what you need. To those of you who have found a path that echoes that of your loved ones or friends, I congratulate you. If you're going into a job that runs in the family, or a college that your friends will attend alongside you, then you have little to fear. With your lives ahead of you and support behind you, it is now on your shoulders to grow into the person you want to be, and I believe that all of you will succeed. And to those of you like me, heading out into the unknown, well, I don't claim to be qualified to give you advice. This is, after all, my first time graduating high school. As such, the journey ahead sometimes scares me, as it may scare you. I haven't made a life change even remotely close to this for nearly a decade, so I personally don't have any life experience to share with you. But that said, this isn't my first ride. So we're currently hurtling down that final stretch of the track. The ride will soon be over, so enjoy what remains of it, but do not let that prevent you from looking forward to the next coaster you may ride. It may be difficult or nauseating, but embrace that and challenge it. Take pride in your future achievements and take a lesson from your failures. Tonight, East loses some of the most amazing people I've ever known, but in return, the wider world gains them. So, be excellent, be true to yourselves, and know that you are not alone. Together and apart, let's enjoy the life that awaits us beyond these halls. To those of you who have made music with me over the years, thank you. To those of you who have stood or spoken alongside me or against me, on a stage, in a classroom, or in the Capitol, thank you. To those of you who have sat alongside me to learn about the inner workings of life, humanity, and the universe, thank you. To any teachers who have had me in their class, you're welcome. And to all who have walked these halls, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Please welcome our final class speaker of the evening, Miss Victoria Kampel, to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to take this moment to thank the Appleton East staff for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I would also like to thank all of my teachers that have shaped me into the individual that I am today. And lastly, I would like to thank all of my friends and my family for supporting me throughout my journey in high school. As many of you know, this marks my second year at East. And this gives me a unique perspective on what it means to be a patriot. Because this is the only high school you have known, you probably don't recognize how special East truly is. Whether we're together for a game, a pep rally, or a dance, East's charismatic student body bonds everyone together. We as a school community foster an inviting atmosphere that makes any stranger feel welcomed. And in the short time that I've been here, I've made many great friends who have embraced me and made me feel like I belong at East. I've made many great friends who have embraced me and made me feel like I belong at East. And coming here was much easier than the last time I had to pack up and move. I was actually born in Nashville, Tennessee, and I lived there for 9 years before moving to a much smaller town called Warrensburg, Missouri. At the time, I was in 3rd grade, and it wasn't exactly easy to make friends because I wasn't as outgoing as I am now. For a while, I felt out of place because I didn't have my own friend group to eat lunch with or play with at recess. But one day, I met Shirley Tran. While on the swing set, she came up to me and introduced herself. She asked if I wanted to be friends with her, and thus began one of my greatest friendships. Shirley was such a vibrant, humble person. She would always reach out to me to make sure I felt included at my new school. I remember one day I was at my locker getting my stuff together to go home, and she approached me with a group of her friends. At first I was worried because I thought I was getting confronted. Then one by one, she introduced them to me and told them how I was new to school. And in that moment, I felt relief. The fact that she went out of her way to make sure that I met people and established a friendship with them left a lasting impression on me that I carried to East. Upon my arrival at East, I encountered many people who embodied the characteristics of Shirley. I first met the office staff. They greeted me with such kindness and welcomed me with open arms. And this instantly made me feel like I was always a part of East. While I was conversing with them about how nervous yet excited I was to be here, I met a spunky, lively girl by the name of Tegan Whitman. She showed me to the gym to meet the volleyball team, and as soon as I entered the gym, the entire team stood up immediately and greeted me. We formed a circle in which we shared our names and a fun fact about ourselves. And once my turn came, I shared how I love to dance. And they said, "Oh my gosh, wait until you meet Anna Murphy Pochask." And from that moment, I knew I would fit in. This is one of many examples of how the East community has embraced me. And it's a moment that was repeated by Link Crew and in choir, as well as my other classes. When I came to East, I was the new kid. But the next year, we will all be the new kids wherever we go. It is important to remember to reach out to new friends because you never know what someone might be going through or how much they might need a friend. One of the hardest days of my life was March 14th, 2016. Early that morning, my brother woke me up with the sad news that my dear friend Shirley had died in a car accident. It was a shock. I was confused, and I didn't want to believe it was true. Even now, years later, she still has a profound impact on my life. We too have lost one of our classmates this year, Mackenzie Lehman. And although I was not especially close with Mackenzie, I sympathize with the many of you who were. I know what it is like to lose someone special. And in the years since the passing of my friend, I have learned something that I would like to share with those of you who are still grieving. The loss that you are feeling will never go away. But let me tell you, it will get better. I used to feel like Shirley's death was a gray cloud that would hang over me wherever I went. But eventually, my memory of her ceased to be an absence and became a presence. Rather than being something missing from my life, her memory became something special that I carry with me wherever I go. And it was a great awakening to me to cherish every moment. As Mackenzie once profoundly said, someday you will look back and know exactly why this had to happen to you. And it may not feel like it now, but soon all of your memories of her will be happy ones. We will experience losses in our lives. We will lose people, we will lose places, and we will lose opportunities. But from these losses, we will grow. As we graduate tonight, we are losing this wonderful place we call home. And Appleton East will always be a part of us that we will carry well into the future. And when we think about high school, we will remember the happy times with a smile. We will remember all the tears, sweat, and endless nights we spent working to get where we are at this very moment. So, enjoy tonight, because this is the last time that we will be together as a class, the class of 2019. Hug those you may not see for a while. Thank those who encouraged you when you believed you couldn't. Tell someone how much they mean to you. You all have meant a great deal to me. Thank you for making me feel so welcomed. And I'm so glad that my journey brought me here to this special place. And I, for one, will never forget any of you. Thank you.